Hi, could you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your role in your institution and in Ingenium?
Okay, so my name is Dr. Gwen Lettis, and I work for Munster Technological University in Cork, Ireland. My role, I suppose, primarily is that I am a lecturer in visual communications in the media communications department. But I'm also a researcher, and through my research, I'm working on a 3-year project with a team on a process that allows students to connect their personal values and goals to their discipline. And the idea is that this is a foundation for education for sustainable development, and it can also contribute to professional development.
What did you focus on in your session at the Staff Academy?
So in my session at the Staff Academy, I introduced Croí, which is a tool that I've designed with the Croí team. Croí is the Irish for heart, so it's the Gaelic for heart. And the tool is called Croí because it very much focuses on who you are on the inside, your personal values and goals, and how you can integrate those into your work. And as I said earlier, the idea is that that can create intrinsic motivation, satisfaction with your work, and the idea is that that can actually have a broader impact too.
Why is this topic something educators should really care about right now?
There are a number of reasons that educators should care about students connecting to their values and goals and connecting those to their work also. I think one of the reasons is that if students connect more to their discipline, it provides a good foundation for education for sustainable development. So if we are more connected to who we are, what we do, we can be intrinsically motivated. And whether that is directly or indirectly related to sustainability, it can have positive impact in ways that we may not even think about. That's one reason. Another reason that I feel is emerging is that certainly in Ireland, there's an emerging issue around students and attendance and engagement. And I really feel that we need to facilitate students and we need to facilitate intrinsic motivation so that they can become more engaged with their subject, really see how it connects to them and what they can achieve with the area that they're studying.
What were the key ideas or takeaways you shared?
So today in the workshop, I provided, I suppose, a theoretical background into why myself and the team have created Croí, the tool. Then in the session, we also introduced participants to a number of steps that are involved in the tool, and they engaged with that. Because of time limitations, we really just gave participants a taster of the tool. But I think the key takeaway I would hope that the participants got was that students can get a lot from exploring their connection to their values and goals and connecting those values and goals to their work. So I hope that the key takeaway was that this can facilitate educators in intrinsically motivating their students, and it can also intrinsically motivate students to act in positive ways.
Was there anything that surprised you during the discussions with participants?
What was really positive to start is that everybody was really engaged. And I came in late to this week, and there already was a fantastic sense of, I suppose, friendship and collegiality and because it was, it was a lovely, a medium-sized group, and it was a very psychologically safe space. So today, the first thing that happened was that everybody was really engaged, and exploring personal values and goals can be a little daunting for some people. They don't like to share about themselves, but everybody was really open to sharing, which was fantastic. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes people are a little scared, but today everybody was really open and willing to share, and that was fantastic. Was there anything surprising beyond that? Let me think. No, I just got really good feedback, which was really motivating for me, so I really enjoyed it.
That's fantastic. Thinking about the impact, can you give an example of something that has already changed or could realistically change because of this work?
Because of this work or because of what happened today? Which one?
Because of general discussions in INGENIUM.
In INGENIUM. Okay, so because of INGENIUM and because of the Staff Academy, I've made connections with people that seem to be really interested in Croí, the tool, and are very interested in using it. I've had a few participants chat to me about potentially using it and us collaborating maybe on some research using the tool. And that's very inspirational. I suppose most importantly, if a number of participants do use the tool, which a number of them have said they will, the best impact is that they use it with their students, and it has some positive impact for the students themselves and possibly for others as a result of the students using it.
What kind of difference do you think this could make for teaching or even for students' learning?
I believe that this could make significant difference for student learning and teaching. For student learning, if students are intrinsically motivated, they are using what they already have within themselves to motivate themselves to learn and do. Not just learn and think, but learn and think and do. All of those things. So I think that's one thing that's really, really important. Then for us as educators or as teachers, there's less for us to do in the sense that if we can facilitate students in finding out who they really are and using that in their work, then everything is simpler, it's easier. I also think that in today's landscape in every way, students are overloaded with information. They're overloaded with bad news, they have climate anxiety, and if they can just take away those extrinsic pressures and just link into who they really are, it provides a lens, a pathway to look at different things.
Would you say this is more of a small improvement or something that could really transform how we teach and learn?
I think Croí, the tool, is a significant tool that can be a foundation for both education for sustainable development and for professional development. What I really enjoy about using the tool and having tested it is that I created it to be for use for education for sustainable development. And the team, myself and Dr. Fred Creedon and Denise McSweeney, we have developed it and tested it and found that it naturally is really useful for professional development also. So it's useful in another area that I suppose I didn't really initially expect. But by being useful in both of these areas, particularly in education for sustainable development, it's a foundational tool that can enhance those areas of development. And if it can enhance learning in those two areas, particularly education for sustainable development, I hope it can have broader impact.
And what would need to happen at your institution for these ideas to really take hold?
So luckily, I have had funding for a 3-year project from the Higher Education Authority in Ireland and through my university to develop this tool to be an MTU-wide tool. So next year when we finish the project, it will be launched as a university-wide tool. But I don't want it to end up being just another thing on the shelf. For it to have real impact, it has to be integrated into curriculum design, which is the next challenge, you know? So a university has to take something like this seriously, and I think that they have to integrate it into, learning frameworks and then down into curriculum design within the university. And that's our biggest challenge because people don't have time to integrate it themselves.
Do you see potential to share or scale this idea across the INGENIUM universities?
In fact, that's something that we discussed in the workshop today. It's the perfect platform to share the process, to continue our research. And it's not just my opinion. There was participants in the workshop today suggested that, you know, we form a little working group where some of them would contribute to the research, you know, and that's amazing. So any contribution to our research helps us to not only develop it, but also to scale it, possibly not just nationally, but internationally.
What kind of collaboration would help move things forward?
Well, firstly, collaboration in terms of research that further validates the tool in itself or provides feedback on issues or, you know, in terms of, I think implementation is difficult for people because they don't have time. So it would really help us to find out more about how educators are experiencing using it and the difficulties or challenges that they might have in implementing it so that we can look at developing that side of things. But even collaboration outside of the research piece where we just support people to implement it. Like what we generally find is that it is a self-directed tool, but there's a little bit of a lack of confidence at the beginning. And even for us to support and collaborate with people to be able to start using the tool, even that would be something that I think could provide impact. Yeah.
How would you know this has been successful? How could we actually measure the impact?
In an INGENIUM context. Well, one thing that I was thinking about just a few minutes ago was that I would love at the end of the INGENIUM Staff Academy, in like often at these kind of events, you know, we learn so much and it's so positive and everybody gets up and goes in their different directions. But I thought what would be really positive is that if we could form a kind of a working group, and that if anybody that was interested in my tool, for example, that we agreed, you know, that maybe I would send them a survey in 3 months' time, you know, to kind of get their feedback and that. So what I'm trying to say, I suppose, is that something action orientated to kind of wrap up the Staff Academy at the end of the week, I think would be really useful in that regard.
And to wrap up, what's one key message you'd like to share with colleagues who weren't able to attend?
The Croí workshop. So it's the tool, I suppose, that I'm promoting. And it's very easy to promote that. All you need to do is search on YouTube for the Croí process, and the spelling is CROI.